Hello, and happy Halloween. I am Dr. Chatter. Today I'd like to share a scary topic with you. Politics, as some of you may know, is basically a way of perceiving reality and the world around you. Everyone has a different set of political views, even if they tend to group themselves together under the banner of a jackass or an elephant with emotional outbursts. However, and here's the scary part, some people run for office in the field of politics in hopes of being able to pass laws, which they view as right and true. Why is that scary? Because their views are always different from yours. Even if you happen to follow the same religion and even if you personally know them. Why is this? Because they aren't you, and the probability of finding someone that agrees the exact same way on every topic is statistically improbable. That is why half of all marriages fail regardless of religious orientation. Eventually, they will try to impose their views onto you. There is no getting around that fact. This may make you a criminal. In truth, it should make the politician the criminal, since it means they are actually declaring that something is a crime and thusly creating more crime. Seriously, if a certain action is not a crime, then that means the crime rate doesn't go up. So politicians create crime. But they also tend to have militaries and law enforcement on their side. So how do you stop the people you don't want in office from getting in? Well, like in America, voting doesn't really matter because the system put in place is like an unbalanced jigsaw puzzle of pieces that are various sizes. These sizes are equivalent to a number system and scored like points during a ball game. In this pseudo-ball game, only a select portion of contenders are given nationwide coverage during which to score points. Except the two main political parties tell you that the only real contenders for president are their own two parties. They acknowledge each other but don't allow for a true democracy by acknowledging the others. They also run advertisements stating that fact. As far as my research has uncovered, there are actually 6 people running for president from 6 different parties total. But my computer was acting funny, so it might be a chromatic malfunction in my networking software. Now, back to the ball game. The size and point relationship of the pieces, or states, supposedly assures that there should never be a tie. However, some states are worth drastically more points than others. For example, in the election with Obama and McCain, part of Nebraska was worth 1 point, while the rest of Nebraska was worth 4, and even if their scores were combined, it would have still been worth less than a tenth of California, which scores the most points with a whopping 55 points. The second largest score after California goes to Texas with 34 points, and then the third place goes to New York with 31 points. Those 4 states equal 125 points, which is 23% of the total votes they can win. That's nearly a quarter of the votes, with only 4 out of the 50 states voting for you. All the other states score fewer points than New York, starting with Florida at 27 points. 31 of the states, excluding DC because it isn't a state, have 10 or less points, including Nebraska. So your votes don't really matter at all, except to try and rebalance the score. Again, I guess that over half of the US is basically not worth passing laws for. So what do? Well, I made my own floating city called Utopolis. But then again, I am a genius. As for Americans, they should probably just come together as the 31 other states and vote for Bill S. Preston Esquire and Ted Theodore Logan, or Ralph, or a Papa Smurf. I don't really care. Let them decide on who to vote for during the next 5 days. Ironically, it won't really matter what anyone does. Politicians running for office tend to flip-flop on issues, in other words, lie, so they can get in. They also tend to keep secrets. Every politician even passes things through office to help their friends and supporters. Wouldn't you? If one of your friends lost their job or their business due to a crumbling economy, then you'd give them a new one if you could. However, when a president does this, then the money we were talking about is worth millions or billions, instead of hundreds or thousands, and giving them a new job could start them with a 6-figure salary regardless of qualifications or experience. Both parties do it and then blame each other for doing it. But this is just the pot calling the kettle black. Which, as you may suspect, is just a really dumb sentence to say. Pots can't talk, unless maybe you are on pot. And neither can frying pans, Mr. Show. You may say, but Obama did bailouts and Republicans never did that. Well, ironically Mitt Romney got a bailout when his company Bain Capital went under in 1993. After all the numbers are crunched, Romney declared bankruptcy, and he walked away with almost $4 million. The creditors that invested in his company lost more than they thought because the government already said the FDIC would pay $10 million of Romney's $15 million debt, leaving Mitt Romney to foot the $5 million remainder. Which means you and the poor creditors of Bain Capital paid Romney's debt with your tax money. And who was president then? George Bush Sr. He's a Republican, by the way. So what do you do if you don't want a liar in office making you a criminal and getting away with their own crimes? Do what your forefathers did America. Invade a foreign land, kill the natives, and start your own political system and military, or move to my city where you will live under my thumb. What would you rather have? A prison cell? Or Utopolis, the paradise of my own design? What's that? That is a very good question. Well, if you must know, I think the next president of the United States will be Obama. I am probably wrong, but my educated guess is that Romney looks too desperate. Now, back to a previous question. Do you want a liar and a thief in office that also believes in a religion that has stated it wants to run this nation and bring it back to the proper way of thinking? It's true, I've heard their so-called elders say it. And they say their congregation is their army. Of course I am talking about the Mormon religion, which teaches its children that everyone in the world that isn't a Mormon is evil. They've also edited their book over 100 times but deny it. Older copies of the Book of Mormon discuss how Cain was turned into a black guy for his crimes and that this is why black people are all inherently evil. And Mormons are also known for disowning their own children, forcing them to become homeless teens instead of getting them treatment they might need to overcome something like a mental disorder or drug problem. I'm sorry if this sounds like hate speech. It is not. These are facts of child abuse and libelous bigotry, including this nugget of wisdom from true U.S. history. Did you know that the Mormons originally left America and went into the Mexican territory that is now known as Utah? The only way they were accepted back into the Union as a state was by complying to live under its laws, which refused the practice of polygamy. Brigham Young, one of the Mormon religion's founders, had a total of 55 wives, and he divorced at least 9 of them too. So I guess that even in their religion, man may put asunder things that even their God put together. Well, the Mormons didn't want to be in our country and now they think it is their divine destiny to control it. Hitler had some ideas like that, but I guess if you say Jesus then people forget what was just said. I hope I didn't just ruin this monologue. Oh well, why dwell on it? I hope I scared you though. Happy Halloween.